And
Yes, to take notes. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and record today's meeting because we're doing a lot of informational stuff that's regarding the My Body, My Truth show. And so I'm anticipating that people who are in that show might watch the recording later. So it is a little bit like less like a normal meeting and more informational. But having said that, then the next meeting we're going to have is on the 31st, which is not going to be for a couple more weeks. And by that time, all the artwork will have been delivered to Washington. So I'll be able to report back on what the gallery situation is and what the insurance, we'll have more details about the insurance agreement to update, which I will be sending out updates via email as well, as soon as I get the contract from the insurance company and little things like that. So because we're going to be figuring out how to hang there and how to do stuff like that. And we're doing the best job we can to kind of keep everything together so that nothing gets damaged and everything stays as clean and as pristine as possible. Probably the biggest issue with a show like this is that works on paper tend to bend in the mail. And so you have to be very, very careful in the way things are packed. Sometimes, most everything arrived fine, but some things, if they're packed weirdly in a strange envelope, it might get crushed in the mail. And so, I've been communicating with people who need to reprint things because things are crushed. But we also have the option of if something, like let's say, you can't get your work to me on time before we leave because we're taking off next week. There's that option that Christopher has offered to do as a backup, which is to print out work for anybody that can't get their work delivered on time to the gallery. So he can't possibly print all 34 pieces. That would be impossible, but he can print, like 3 or 4, which is what I think he's pretty much, that's where we are. We're down to like the last 2 or 3 people to submit work. But otherwise, everybody got their work here on time and the work looks great. I sent around links so you can see everybody's work in the exhibition. And then I also sent around in that long email a link to a file folder that is just for high resolution photographs for press releases and for, things like printing. So, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So let me share screen so I can kind of show you guys. Let me pull up the Gmail first and then share with you guys. If I had been more together, I would have like had the Gmail ready to go here, but I was not. Let's see, because I got that last minute phone call. But here we go. So I can go back to share screen. I'm a little rusty from not being in school.
I never did this.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting, let me tell you. Let's see. So if I'm going to go into the shared drive so you guys can see what we worked on. And thank you, Allison, for writing or really forcing me to get more organized, because I think some of it was just, for me anyway, just getting over the hump of looking at all the files. It's a little intimidating. So especially after finishing finals and going through school, classes and stuff, it is a little overwhelming. So we've got everything in. What I shared with you guys was the place where I want you to jump the print files. It looks like people are already doing that. So you just want to focus on getting a 300 DPI image so that if somebody wants to grab an image for print publication, they can grab it from this file. Very easy. And we have the smaller files that are appropriate for the web, and Allison's going to be putting together the web portion, or we're going to be collaborating on that web portion, which is going to include whatever you wrote in your file response, which that is what you wrote as a statement when you were entering the show. And so if there's a correction to that, we'll be asking you about that. But basically, whatever you wrote, so in our file responses, actually not for that one, it would be responses. So when we were looking at this and selecting work, we had, for the different forms, a discussion about each piece. So we'll be grabbing that text and using it for the website. If you, for whatever reason, there's something you want to change, we'll be sending out as we go forward, clarifying emails about what your web page looks like. And then, does this look okay? This is what you wrote, that kind of thing, to ask for clarifying things that are coming up. But that's coming up in the future. What we need to do right now is make sure that our exhibition list looks right. So the main thing we want to do this week is make sure that your work is listed and that it's titled properly. if your artwork has some text in pink here, that means that you need to add in the materials and then the year that your work was made. You know, you want to make sure that you follow the format, which is, you know, name, the title of the artwork, the year of the artwork, the materials, and then the dimensions. Okay, that's also listed in the email. So there are little notes in here too, if there's something going on with your piece, or, you know, it will be listed here. I think everybody's pretty much fine, and I've communicated with anybody that has an issue, but the main thing is to get this done today. So we have a current exhibition list. That's also going to help Chris and myself when we're traveling and checking things in to make sure that everything looks good. In terms of the exhibition agreements, so I just asked that you guys go through and fill in the information for your exhibition agreement and then just digitally sign it. You can actually draw in your name if you use, you know, insert and then drawing. And you can add in your signature by drawing it here and then saving and close. And then you can add it in and drag it into the document. So I can just show you what I mean by that. And I'll want to draw. You just want to go to line. And then you're going to do the free form line, which is scribble. And then you can sign. Okay. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to sign her document. But when you save and close, then that will put your signature into the document. So, and then you can drag it and drop it into the contract itself. Let me go back so I don't do that for hers. If you just want to digitally type it in too, that's fine as well. That's totally up to you. It's just okay to let you know. I'm sorry.
It's okay to just type it in?
You can. I mean, I don't know if it's as legally binding as putting the signature in. Eventually, you know, if there's an issue or he needs work, we might be doing something where he may want you to have it be a wet signature. And in that case, we'll ask you to print it out, sign it, and then mail it to the gallery. But I'm going to ask him to see how he wants to manage to do that. I just wanted to get this file started for the insurance company so that they can see that we have the files from everybody. We have all of the artwork. We have everything listed properly. The main thing we're looking for is we don't want all of a sudden your artwork to go from being valued at $200 to $2,000 if something happens in transit. So as long as you've listed it correctly at the right price in both places, you're fine. So, but I'm anticipating the insurance company might say we do want wet signatures. And in that case, then you'll have to print it out and send it. So, but for right now, for us, it's fine just to type it in. But it is possible to digitally sign it. It's not hard if you want to add in that stuff. Is there anything that I'm missing that is confusing? I know that there's a couple of things that I need to cover today. First of all, one is Taryn is working on the show card image that she's got down to 2 really solid designs. And then the second thing is the press release, which Allison and I are working on still, and we're updating and making look better. So you will have access to that as soon as it's edited and finalized. And then Barbara Hashimoto is doing, is going to format a bunch of Instagram posts. So like an Instagram template with all of the hashtags that we're using and everybody's names on it so that you can just copy and paste it and then put your image with all of the information together so that we're all cross promoting. Because the opening's not until around September 20th, we've got lots of time to do that. We're not in any hurry, so we can make sure that everybody's got the right text with the right hashtags and that we're conscious and supportive of each other and conscientious when we're posting and thinking about how it looks and things like that. So we've got lots of time, but that all that language is going to come from the press release and then also from the formatted Instagram stuff. So if anybody has any questions, I'll shut up.
Do you want me to change the color of the text once I edit? Because you know how like it right now it's
sure. You can, or I'll go back in and I'll probably change the whole document, but please do, then I'll know you're done. Thank you, Nicole.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
Did I give you my artist statement when I sent you just to submit for the art show?
I don't actually know I don't remember. So I'd have to look through that file that has all of them. If it's missing for whatever reason, we will let you know when we're posting. So what's going to happen is Allison and I are going to sit down and we'll upload all of the smaller JPEGs to a website, like a Wix page, and then it'll have your statement. So anything that's missing, it'll be obvious. And so we'll post everything. And then before we send it out, make it live, we'll say, look at your page, see if there's anything you want to add. And then we'll be accepting all of the edits at the same time. My theory is if people start sending in edits right now, it's just going to get lost in email, which I know is the biggest issue with managing large numbers of people, is that things get lost if they're not all in the same basket, which kind of makes sense if you're thinking about Howie and the way that he deals with students and teaching, right? Like when you have one assignment, everything goes into one basket. So if when we're going to ask for the text to look at it and fix it and edit it and all of that stuff, we're going to ask for it all at the same time so that it all winds up in the same place. And then it's very easy for us to put it into the website. If you start emailing it now, we'll lose it, and then you'll be angry and I'll be confused. So
I'll wait. I don't have a problem.
yeah. I mean, the one thing about doing this is that you realize why curators get really snippy with people because they didn't like title their file folder right. And, you know, I think all the teachers know that because this year, everything, if you didn't label something right and a student said, but I turned it in, you're like, oh my God, what do you mean? It's got to be last name first. Like things like that can drive you nuts. But we're just trying to do it one thing kind of at a time so that we don't get anybody confused and we don't get ourselves confused. Anybody else?
Okay, me again.
Go.
The thumbnail that you have on that spreadsheet,
Yes.
it's an older one, and the print that I sent you is actually updated and has the gold leafing and stuff like that. I was just wondering if that matters, or
did you take a nicer 300, like a nicer photo of it finished?
I took a photo of it finished. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to, you can swap it out and put it in there instead. But if you need a 300 DPI photo for the press stuff, I'll reshoot it. So thank you for telling me. I'll make a note to myself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just didn't know. I didn't know I needed the 300 DPI digital version of the finished one.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, hindsight's 2020. I should have said it first. You know, I should have asked you guys for two different, but it's fine. And anybody else too that's like that, if they don't have a 300 DPI photo and you still want to be considered for the press release, just do the same thing, send me a text or an email and remind me. Because it might be a little while before I get it in there because I'm going to be driving it and delivering it, and I don't want to unpack things. But I think I know exactly where yours is, Nicole, because I just went back yesterday. So.
Okay, yeah, I should have gotten there sometime like recently.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
If you, at the bottom of the email are the names of the 3 people I haven't gotten work from. So if you're not one of those 3 names, you're fine. Anybody else?
I am one of those 3 names.
That's okay.
I sent it to you, but I'll send you a higher quality image of it.
Yeah, so that
image I'll send you a better one.
Yeah, just dump it in that folder that says 300D that has the print images in it, and just dump the raw file in there.
And I'll email it to him too, so he has a better quality to print than that. It's an email print. Okay,
absolutely. So I mean, like if you're doing it, printing it there, you're fine. And there's not as much, I'm glad that you're doing it that way, because I think it'd be easier for you for sure. It's not as big of a deal. Are you guys getting feedback too, or just me? You are? Why is that happening?
I think it's Marjan. Sorry, Marjan.
I will stop my singing.
How could it be
Before
Marjan?
I stop it, good job on everything.
How did you know it was her? No, see, it stopped. You're right. Okay. I don't know how they knew it was you,
I have to
Marjan.
deal with this constantly, and so I just can figure it out from like when it happens and when it doesn't happen.
Really? That's funny. It's not happened to me before teaching. That's interesting. Oh, by the way, before we go any further, congratulations, Mulatto. Mulatto's in a museum show that just opened, right? It's so exciting. That's awesome. I know. I was like so proud of you. It's exciting.
Thank you. It's on my goal list, vision board.
Yeah, totally. I was like thinking, you got it. That's great. That's awesome.
Thank
Especially with the big
you.
eyes right behind you. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, my new stuff. Yeah, thanks, man. Very much. Yeah.
Taryn, did you want to share the cards and then we could kind of vote on them today?
Yeah, that sounds good. Could you please enable my screen sharing?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. There we go.
Thank you. No problem. Let me just pull it up really quick. Here we go.
Can't believe I did that.
And thank you so much, Maya, for letting me use your Photoshop to make this. So here's a screenshot, and this is, we could just call it Artboard 4 versus Artboard 5. And the main difference is obviously the horizontal band versus like the more pill-shaped. Maya brought up a good point that the pill shape has the hands present versus the bar does not. So I was wondering if y'all could please tell me your preferences, and so I can export to marry the right file and get it all squared away.
Why don't we just put, you can put a 4 or a 5 in the chat. Does that sound good? So just to discuss a little bit about the design concept, do you want to tell us about what your concept was? This is Allison Peary's image, and we got permission from her to use it, and then we're editing it, sort of making it as a unified show card image.
Yeah, of course. So I was thinking of that, of the famous art piece called My Body is a Battleground by Barbara Kruger. And so I used a very similar font style, the italicized, the sans serif, very similar to her, because this exhibition is on the same theme of women's bodies being, you know, controlled by either the government. And this piece by Allison, where the target is honing in on the ovaries and the sexual reproduction organs of females. So I just thought this piece, along with that history of this typeface, would be really good for this show. But please let me know if there's any ideas or concerns or thoughts.
Yeah, the other thing we thought was that it's nice that by blocking the genitals, that it could be ambiguous, so that it didn't necessarily have to be about having a uterus, that it could be about gender identity. So yeah, Marjan, thank you. So everybody just vote 4 or 5.
How do you do that? I don't know how to do
Oh,
this.
just go into the chat. Down at the bottom, there's like a little bubble, thought bubble kind of thing for the chat.
Oh, I see. So it says chat. I'm sorry, I never do this.
So at the bottom of the screen, there's like a bar, and it has the word chat in a little thought bubble above it, or a speaking bubble above it. Just click on that, and then the chat box will pop up.
Let's do that. Ah, here we go. So I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm going to say 4, 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 4s and 2 5s right now.
Plus, it's nice how it's got the inspiration, but it's not the same thing as the inspiration.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, is that it's a deviation of that it's not so referential, which I think is maybe better for us.
Really powerful.
Yeah. I also like the hands as well, Maya, and the 8s. I think those are beautiful. But you know, so we're gonna be using this as like the signage for, you know, if we do like a cover for all of the Instagram, you know, like we do a shuffling of all the work and things like that, or website, this will be the cover sort of branding image for us. So, well, currently it looks like the 4s have it. So unless there's any objection, can we go ahead and say that number 4 is the one?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good. Thank you so much for doing that, Taryn. I really appreciate it. And it's a lot of work to do little detail stuff like that. Is there anything that I'm missing from that email that I outlined, that any informational things that are hanging out there that are confusing to you?
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
I know you mentioned that we're going to meet every 2 weeks. Is that every Sunday?
So yes, it's usually every Sunday. Our next meeting is actually going to be on the 31st, which is 3 weeks from now, because of vacation, because of travel, because I can't promise that I'm going to be able to Zoom that Sunday when we're on the road. If for whatever reason I'm going to be in the gallery and I'm there on that Sunday and I might make an announcement to you guys, but I'm not planning to do it until the 31st. But I'll have pictures and you know, an update on all of the stuff. the main thing is that everybody's work is within the 11 by 14, which is awesome because we have to build like a float box for all of the artworks that's stacked up on top of each other, and it's absolutely the safest for it to travel if it's all the same size. Like there's no doubt about it. If anything sticks out a little farther, it tends to get rammed in the corners. But when you're building a crate and or building a float box like that, it's really important that everything be sort of in a solid stack. It's just safer if it's in one solid stack than if it's floating around, because that's when things get damaged, is when they move inside the box. So I happen to have all that stuff here right now. So I'm really lucky. I mean, I have to say the one thing about this show that's been really wonderful has been things like, I happen to have a float box that's the right size. I happen to have the packing materials we need, and I'm married to a former art handler. So
I was thinking that.
so I know what the insurance, we've done this before for other shows like that I've been in. So he knows how to do it and I know how to do it. And so we're just kind of snap into team mode where we just do it together. So Christopher's really excited that we're going to truck it up there ourselves. And it's actually because of Andrea's piece that we are going to have insurance, because her gallery insisted upon it, but that's good for all of us. I mean, it's good. I've been in situations where things have been damaged in transit. So it just happens sometimes. And never send art UPS. I'll tell you that right now. If you've ever sent artwork, always send it FedEx. If you have to send it through a regular mail service, never send it UPS, no matter how much cheaper it is for UPS. Because I've had UPS put forklift through my paintings, like more than one, like just all the way through the box in a wooden crate, no less. They did it. So, yeah, I know the crate itself was like a fortune. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. So that's been my experience is, the safest, if you're going to do something commercial, like just low end, meaning like FedEx, is to do with whatever the largest size FedEx is, in a TV box or a float box, an air float box, or a crate. Don't mess with UPS. So, or use a private transport service. So we are the private transport service. So we're traveling with it. We're going to sleep with it next to us. So you can be assured that we're not going to be drunk and leaving it in the car. So just letting you know, because we're nerds. So if we do anything, it'll be like going to San Luis Obispo to see Hearst Castle or something geeky like that. So, anybody have any other questions? Yeah, because I can stop the recording and we can just have a meeting where we hang out then if there are no other questions about details regarding the exhibition. Okay, I'm going to stop recording then. And that way, if people have, clarifying questions later, they can, contact me via email.